Hello hunters, in today's video I'll be trying something a little different. I'll be narrating over a 9-star Gore where I use heavy bowgun Wyvern Blast Build. I'll start out by addressing the elephant in the room. In this game, Gore is my hardest matchup. So fighting him solo with a Wyvern Blast build was a real challenge for me. Normally I would be running a elemental build, but you'll see here I'm just kind of swapping over to a sticky. I kind of switch between sticky and paralysis. Something I noticed while I was doing this was that you can sort of skip the recoil from sticky if you jump off your Seikret, shoot, and then as you're falling you shoot again. You'll see that here in just a second. Here's a clip of that in the training area for better view. Now this is not an optimal build. You can obviously run a lot better. This is more of a comfort one for me, so I can use it while practicing against 9-star Gores. Something I did notice while just practicing against Gores in general is if you go back to a 7-star, it's a lot easier. Throughout this quest, I do make a lot of mistakes, and one thing I did notice is I relied a little bit too much on the Seikret and then choosing bad times to jump off and getting hit. So I'll talk about that as they come up, but basically what I am trying to focus on is getting good positioning, dodging out of the way of his attacks, only slightly so that I'm still in line to keep in range for the Wyvern Blast. Right here, try and get these focus offs, and whenever he's going to shoot his little gassy breath, then I just try and dodge slightly off to the left, shoot again. I will say that using sticky is basically just a damage loss, and so if I were going to try and get like my fastest run as possible, my secondary weapon probably still would be this sticky weapon just for extra damage, but I would only use it as a spread and to use ignition and immediately swap back to my paralysis weapon. You can see here I'm killing too much time trying to get a stun on Gore. For this next attack, I generally try to perfect guard. When I try and dodge this one, I will usually get hit because of the hitbox. There's the stun. Time to get some blast damage off. I should be charging up to 3 when I hit the wounds, but still something I'm getting used to. If I was going to try and go for my best time, I would probably just stay in the paralysis ammo weapon and bring extra craftables for more paralysis. And then when I switch over to a sticky, I would just simply use it for the blast, extra damage, and then not really worry about getting a stun off. I don't necessarily think it's worth it in terms of time spent versus damage done. I was a little close here, so I rolled in instead of out. The thing I like least about this build is having to keep up peak performance, putting away your weapon and healing. Obviously, if you have an attack focus, you can use the recovery ammo, but it's still just annoying. Here we get the paralysis. We're going to get off some good damage, and then I believe we get that temper wound. There it is. Pop that and do some good damage. Because of how much damage he does, max potions would probably be more ideal for doing this quest. but I don't really want to waste all my resources, especially when I'm just practicing. You can see here, after all this time on my Seikret, I jump off at a terrible time and just immediately have to heal again. This is definitely something I don't really like. I need to work on better positioning and timing when I'm jumping off the Seikret, but it's just something with this build that isn't really to my liking. I prefer to just bring like a normal DPS build, not really worry too much about peak performance, and just get off as much damage as possible. Again, bad timing. You see I should have dodged here. Instead, I tried to shoot. Didn't realize I was going to get hit there. Here I'm gonna head back to camp, refill up on some of my potions because I've used so many of them. Again, I do think the max potions are gonna save a lot of time. You can see here in this quest, I sort of wasted a ton of time, not only on the Seikret, kind of looking for a good time, wasted a lot of time with just the sticky ammo, when I shouldn't have been messing around with that. I definitely think I could get a better time with this, but as I said at the beginning of the video, 9-star Gore, and just Gore in general, is not a good matchup for me. It's something I really have to get more practice with. But here in this last little stretch, I get some pretty good, damages. I dodge at some good times, like right there, getting into good positions, getting off my blast, kind of doing it in like a burst section where I do one set of blast, jump out, blast, blast. Here I'm trying to get some of that environmental damage. The most annoying thing that I think stopped some of my time in this fight though is that here in a little bit Gore does get very distracted to go fight a Gypsyros, and I'm a little bit annoyed when I'm doing that, and so I let my guard down and it end up dying. So you'll see that here in a little bit. At the time of me recording this voiceover, AT Arcveld has already come out, and so I have put some thought into maybe just running an HP build. Keeping up peak performance is a little annoying for me. Obviously, I could just play a little better and not get hit, thus not having to use the, potions as much, but it's just a build that I don't really find too fun. So here at this point, he is ready for capture, but I was a little flustered when he ran away to go fight the Dipteros, so I wasn't really paying attention. I end up just kind of messing around, trying to heal and do more damage. He runs away, and by the time I realize he's ready for capture, I set down a trap at a terrible time and end up dying. So I'll just go ahead and chop up this video and show you my death, and we'll be done. So even with the terrible gameplay and my mistakes, my death, just a lot of bad things that happened to kill my time, I did still get a fairly respectable time, 12:34 for a 9-star Gore. Obviously, I can get a sub 10 if I'm just using fire. It's the best way to fight a Gore. Here at the end is just some of the build. You can go ahead and take a look at it. It's definitely not optimal. This is just my comfort blast build. Thank you guys for watching, and happy hunting.